Simon, what's your question for Tom?
Hello, gents. Yeah, nice to speak to you both. Being up front, I would describe myself over human-caused climate change as an uninformed skeptic. And I think part of that skepticism is because a lot of the policies seem to be around taxing people, and some of them seem quite authoritarian. So my question is, would your guest think people like myself might be more open to learning about it and actually changing their ways if it was more incentive-based rather than perceiving it as an opportunity to tax people?
Tom.
Simon, I think you're absolutely right to pick up on this question, and also implicit in your question is a doubt that the taxes would actually be other than just a disguised revenue raising. So I couldn't agree with you more about needing to probe that question. And what's more, you're also right about the fact that people respond to incentives better than they respond to constraints. And so one of the reasons why you might want to have a small tax on carbon is not because that price effect would change things, so I doubt it would very much. Much more importantly, so you could raise revenues that you could use to invest in and help accelerate the deployment of the alternatives by giving people an incentive. And in particular, the thing I think we need to give people incentives to is to improve the energy efficiency of their homes, which would get your energy bills down as well as reducing pressure on the climate. So there are lots of things that we could be doing that we're not doing in order to, as you say, incentivize people to do the thing they actually want to do most of the time because it makes sort of sense.
Simon, what sort of incentives would work for you?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, if you think of a while back, diesels were cheaper, but then we got taxed diesels because they got that wrong. And a lot of people are now paying more for the cars that they've previously got. So that seems a bit of a contradiction. And your guest, he's making some interesting comments there, but he did mention a tax and then talked about incentive. Are those two not contradicting each other?
Not necessarily. We currently have a tax on carbon that's already there. So but we also have a lot of incentives. They're not linked very well. And I think in a way the point I was trying to make was if you're going to tax, you need to link it to something that connects to the problem.
I understand that, yeah.
And what are you doing at the moment, Simon, in terms of doing your bit, so to speak? What do you do?
Well, as I say, I'm a skeptic, so I'm not doing anything.
Well, that's not a skeptic. That's a cynic, isn't it?
Well, no, I think it's a skeptic. At the moment, I haven't. I've just been honest. At the moment, I haven't changed my ways. The example I would use is the plastic bag tax. Now I just pay more for plastic bags when I go shopping.
Have you got a house full of plastic bags and no money left?
Well, they're quite handy things, aren't they? You carry your shopping home and then you use them to take the rubbish out.
I can tell you're not a dolphin.
Well,
you know, because dolphins don't like plastic bags when they end up in the sea.
Okay, I mean, I haven't put any plastic bags in the sea.
But you'd be surprised how many of them end up there.
Do you not maybe then that's an issue with actually the recycling process? Would that not be?
Recycling plastic bags.
Recycling of plastic bags. Yeah, I think we've got to get a bit better about the kind of plastics we make because they're not all recyclable. So you want to be able... my experience is extraordinary in what people will do if they get the right incentives, which is why Simon's right. So that 5p tax on plastic bags actually created an 80% drop in their use. And that was an extraordinary drop that happened extremely quickly.
Simon's the only one buying them now, am I right, Simon?
Right, yes. Okay, but what was the benefit? What's the benefit of that 80% drop?
Oh, the benefit of that is a massive reduction, actually, in the cost of waste treatment. Plus, as Eddie was saying, life's a bit better for dolphins. You put plastic bags into the waste dumps, and actually it breaks down over time, but it breaks down into small bits of plastic. And David Attenborough did a brilliant film on this not long ago, showing how that ends up going into the ocean, into fish and animals in the ocean, and then coming back to us inside some of the fish we eat.
Simon, thanks very much. Lots of interesting points. Barry's next in...